Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Welcome back to another video, another story on this channel, Hardcore Spirituality. I'm your host, Johan. Today we're going to talk about the title of this video. I'm bored. I'm bored. Let's break it down. I don't understand the concept of when someone says I'm bored, okay? And in our times, when someone says I'm bored, that's usually followed by there's nothing to do. If you watched a lot of my videos, I often say I'm really interested in the meaning of words. And so I do one of two things. I look up the etymology of a word, discover when it was first used, who used it, in what context was it used, what period of time. Or I go to a 1951 Thorndike Barnhart dictionary. And I think in 1951, word definitions weren't molested that much. You might know this, that in the 60s, 70s, 80s, all the way up till now, definitions of words have been influenced by governments, religions, and social movements. So I think the 1951 era is pretty safe yet. So when we talk about being bored or bore, B-O-R-E, the etymology of that is around the 15th century. The word bore was popular in this sense. Bore had to do with drilling. See, I'm doing this because I grew up, we had a hand drill to bore holes in wood, right? Well, in the 16th and 17th century, the definition of the word bore was added onto, because people would say that doing that drilling, that boring, became meticulous and uninteresting. And so boring, that definition was modified from doing that activity to make holes in wood to this is tedious and uninteresting. If something's boring today, there's a different take on it, and I think it's safe to say that it's usually followed by there's nothing to do. This is boring. I'm bored. There's nothing to do. So let's look up the word bore in my 1951 Thorndike Barnhart dictionary. Bore, to make weary by being dull or tiresome. To make weary by being dull or tiresome. Dull, tiresome person or thing. Synonym, tire, fatigue. I want to focus on tiresome and fatigue because boring has taken on a whole new meaning for me. I mentioned before I'm a disabled vet, so I don't get around like I used to. I'm not as active as I used to be. And I've mentioned in previous videos I watch a little too much TV. But I don't watch junk and I don't watch garbage. Bear with me. What I'm about to describe to you is how I look at boring today, being bored, based on tired and fatigued. There's a guy down the street. He's in his 50s. So I was having a chat with him one day. Well, he doesn't work. I don't know why I didn't ask. But he plays video games all day. And he said to me, I love playing video games because it relaxes me. Okay? Keep this in mind. Getting back to what I watch on television, I like documentaries, I like travel vlogs, history, a lot of history about a lot of things in our world. And I noticed a while back, I would get to a point where I'd be watching something and it got boring. It got boring. I'm self-taught in quantum mechanics, quantum physics, how the brain works. One, our brain is not designed to process all this stimuli, all this stimulation, okay? It's not designed for that. So what happens when we're hyper stimulated? Well, when I'm watching documentaries or travel vlogs or the history of this motorcycle company or the history of this car company, how this city became great like thousands of years ago, things like this, I get to a point where I'm no longer interested in it. And I'm no longer interested in it because I get bored. I get bored because I become tired and uninterested. I become tired and uninterested because my brain starts going through fatigue. Like that guy down the street in his 50s that says I watch video games, I play video games all day because it relaxes me. When the truth is, what happens is at a certain point, his brain gets fatigued, he gets exhausted. He calls it relaxed. I could think of other ways to exhaust myself, like push myself to go for a long walk, or weed whack around my house, cut the grass, and push myself, fatigued, exercise. The world we live in today is all about being impressive, impress people. And hobbies today aren't what they used to be. A hobby for me is something that I enjoy, okay? I feed birds. I have 2 bird houses on my deck. I'm happy with feeding the birds and watching birds in the bird houses. But in today's world, that isn't good enough. In today's world, someone might say to you, wow, you should start filming this. Make videos about it. And then what happens is a hobby isn't for fun. A hobby becomes work. I ride motorcycles. I would never make a video riding a motorcycle because that camera is a distraction. Speaking while I'm riding is a distraction. I'm not focused on the road ahead of me. What's going on? Potholes. A turn up ahead that's sharp. Other drivers. This is how things have transformed. It's all about stimulation. When we get stimulated, we get dopamine hits in the brain. And after a period of time, what once stimulated us isn't enough. It becomes boring. Not in the sense that there's nothing to do, not in the sense that this is uninteresting. It's in the sense that you become tired and fatigued because your brain is hyper stimulated. Getting back to documentaries, travel vlogs, all those things I like to watch. How the universe came to be. There's so many theories, you know. When I get to a point that I'm tired of watching this, it's fatiguing, it's boring, that's a sign for me to shut it down. And so what I do when I'm bored, it's not that there's nothing else to do. It's my brain is so overstimulated, hyperstimulated. You know, people get that way and then they'll say, well, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to do that now. Something that's probably not useful and maybe destructive. You know, you're forcing things to happen when your brain is fatigued. No wonder you get into trouble. So when I'm bored, I shut it down and I go outside. Luckily for me, when I sit on my deck, the woods are right here. So I connect with nature. And a lot of times then, I'll go back down to the Sacred Grove. If you've seen the videos of the Sacred Grove I built in 2022 in honor of my ancestors. Or I'll take my dog for a ride in the country. I would love to go to the state park and walk around there. There's a lot to observe there, but the state parks are closed now. Whatever's in the water, or they've been upgrading the bathroom facilities for 2 years at the state park about 9 miles from my house. So you can't even camp there. And that's okay. That's okay. I go about a quarter mile. There's a big field, and I let my dog run loose. He loves it. He loves it. When I'm bored, it's time to shut everything down because my brain is fatigued. My brain is overstimulated. My brain is hyper-stimulated. It's time to shut things down, go outside and reflect. I'll I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully. Johan out. Peace.